Some more information, some more knowledge and wisdom to give you. That they took out the Bible once again, because like I said, they took out 77 books. The Apocrypha is 13 books by itself. They took out many books. But I got the book of Jasher today, because like I said, the book of Jasher go into details from the beginning all the way into the life of Joseph, and past Joseph all the way to Joshua, when Joshua died. So it goes into details, and the King James doesn't. Once again, I'm in Genesis, and this is chapter, what chapter is this? Chapter 37. Chapter 36 in Genesis. And it's describing the children of Esau, but it's describing all the children, period, of Esau. But it's going to mention something that they took out. Now, I already made this. It's basically the 12 tribes of Israel, all the way from Reuben to Benjamin, and who they married, and the sons' names, and the blessings. But I got Esau's over here. Now, this is the seed of Jacob, of Israel, his 12 sons. And this is Esau and his 5 sons. So, but it goes into details about Esau's sons here, and this is his generation. But I want you to see this, because King James, this is not in the King James for some reason, it's taken out. And it says, once again, and this is the book of Jasher, and I'll go here. So I'm tired of going to Joshua to show you about the book of Jasher. It's Joshua 10, verse 13, when it says read the book of Jasher. But right here, it says, I'm trying to get this clear as day, when it's talking about, these are the children of Zibeon, both Ajah and Anah. And it was Anah that found the mules in the wilderness, as he fed the asses of Zibeon, his father. All right. And then it says, these are the children of Anah. And that's all they say. So it says that it told you Zibeon and his kids. And it says one of his kids, Anah, went to go, he found mules in the wilderness as he fed the asses of his father. So he went to go feed the asses of his father. And then they found mules in the wilderness. And that's all it says. So King James decided to tell you, when he translated this, decided to take you out so you would not know this information once again. Now I'm in the book of Jasher. Once again, I keep telling you where this information is for you to go seek the knowledge. And this is the book of Jasher, and I believe this is chapter 36 and verse 27 all the way down. It covers the same thing. And it's going over the children, of Esau. And it starts here and it tells you about Zepho, and it says, and the sons of Zibeon, once again, were Ajah and Anah. And it was Anah who found the Yemen. See, now they have names, because in the King James, it was just whatever the fuck, that Edomite said. He said, and now they found the mules. So they call them the mules, right? So we know what a fucking mule is on earth. Like a donkey, we sing mules. But is it a fucking mule? This joint just gave it a whole name. So you got to understand what King James. And look at all this scripture that it goes into detail before it starts talking about the next child. And in the children, and it says in the children. But it go to a whole brief description of something that King James took out. So he left it out. So found the mules. This joint, I'm going to read it for you, so you would know. And it says, Zibeon and Abiah, and it was Anah who found the Yemen in the wilderness when he fed the asses of Zibeon, his father. And whilst he was feeding his father's asses, he led them to the wilderness. All right. So all that shit is missing from here. All right. It didn't even go into detail. At different times to feed them. And there was a day that he brought them to one of the deserts on the seashore, opposite of the wilderness of the people. And whilst he was feeding them, behold, a very heavy storm came from the other side of the sea and rested upon the asses that they were just talking about, and rested upon his father's asses, Zibeon's asses, that they were feeding there. And they stood still. And afterwards, about 120 great terrible animals came out the wilderness at the other side of the sea. And they all came out and placed, where the asses were. And they placed themselves there. See, I thought it was mules. These fucking things is terrible animals, they're saying. They got a name called Yemen. And it's 120 of these motherfuckers. So it's giving you great detail, some shit that King James don't want you to know. And those animals, and those animals from their middle downward were in the shape of the children of men. And from their middle upward, some had the likeness of bears, and some had the likeness of kephas, with tails behind from between their shoulders reaching down to the earth, like tails of some fucking animal. And these animals came and mounted and rode upon the asses, like they fucking rode the motherfucking asses, and led them away. And they went away unto this day. And one of these animals approached the fucking his son, Zibeon's son, the one who took the asses out there, and smote him with the tail and fled from that place. And when he saw the work was exceeding, and he was afraid for his life, and he fled and escaped to the city. And they related to all the sons and the brothers that would happen. And the men went to go seek the asses, but couldn't find them. And they never went back to that place after that. So the reason why King James took all that shit out, but he decided to tell you that that shit happened, because it happened. And it's written in the Torah, and it's written in the scriptures that they translated that it happened. So they can't just skip the shit. He briefly told you because the Most High expects you to read the book of Jasher, because he told you twice to read it. So now when you come across this shit and you see the mules, you know that these fucking Nephilim almost after the flood, from the upwards is in the shape of a fucking animal, and the lower from the waist down in shape of fucking men. Come on. And they riding on asses, and it's 120 these motherfuckers. King James don't want you to know half of this shit. This is like the 5th time I done showed you some shit that's in the book of Jasher that is not in here. The same exact time. That's like me telling the story and just like being brief and me going to greater detail so you can get the true knowledge of what the fuck is going on. So without knowing that, you wouldn't even know what the fuck happened. You would honestly believe this nigga took his asses to the wilderness, and so he found some mules as he fled the asses. That don't even make sense. As he fed the ass, you know what I'm saying? It don't make sense. It won't make sense. That's why I showed you that shit. So, and I will continue to keep showing you shit if you didn't know. But if you do the research, man, you gotta know who these kids is. They all got different blessings. All these got different blessings and curses, and who Judah is. You gotta understand. Like if I ask you who's Judah's 4th born son, you should know. You should know what happened to Judah's first 2 sons. You should know that shit. You should know who the fuck this nigga Dan married. Dan married a Moab. All the rest of his brothers married Shemites, and this nigga married a Canaanite. But this nigga married a Moabite. It don't make no sense. And you can understand why he's not a part of the 12 tribes no more. You can understand why in the future they doing dumb shit. And you would never know from the King James, because Book of Jasher go into great detail. You'll never know that Benjamin, the last born, when Rachel died, had given birth to Benjamin, at 10 years old, Jacob found Benjamin a wife, and he was married at 10 years old and had 5 kids. And at 19 years old, he remarried again and had 5 more kids, total of 10 kids. Jacob, Israel, found Benjamin a wife at 10 years old. It's like, but you just live your life, you know. The church ain't tell you nothing. You know nothing of the Most High God. Only thing you know is graven images and worship. And that's all you know. It's bees, praying hands and shit. Like, I'm trying to give you the truth, but you reject it. This shit is written right here. I didn't write this shit. You know what I'm saying? Our people wrote it. These fucking heathens translated it. Why not include that into here? If the book tells you to read it. That's what don't make no sense. It's like, you gotta connect the dots, because your church didn't tell you. Your church never told you this. No church, no black church, no Catholic church, no motherfucking Kingdom Hall, no motherfucking Muslim mosque. None of these motherfucking people saying this shit. None of these people saying this shit. That they do not include, they don't want you to know this shit. They don't want you to know this shit. Like, this man's flesh is red. All these people is red. But you will never know. You'll never know. Because you didn't grasp the fact that Esau was red all over for a reason. You didn't grasp that. You didn't grasp that in your mind. But someday you will. Someday.